Hi everyone, it's Mark from 3D Avenue here. And today I have Andy Lynch, project manager at Leodis Construction Services. And we're going to discuss how important is due diligence to maximize your profit on development. Andy, could you please briefly introduce yourself and your business?
Yeah, so Andy Lynch, my company name is Leodis Construction Services. We've been in the building industry now for 20 years plus. We've taken on large renovation development sites. We like to do flip properties as sell. There's not a lot that we haven't come across, and with our team, there's not a lot that we can't get us head around and get through.
Mm-hmm. And who are your clients? And you mentioned you were doing it for over 20 years, but what are your major type of clients?
So our major type of clients are just your average people that want to renovate the properties. We'll do extensions, loft conversions. We sometimes do joint ventures on development sites. We've done, multi-let HMO conversions.
Mm-hmm.
So we turn like care homes into like 29 unit HMO. There's commercial work. We like to do commercial work as well on factories and buildings like that. So we're quite widely spread about what we do. Everything we do is within the building industry, but we sort of spread out and work with a variety of people, really.
So what makes you and your company unique?
I think what makes us unique is the time that we've done this for now. It's even now after 25 years, you come across problems and things that you have to learn day in, day out. But I think that the group of people that we've got, we're all positive people, and we try to push to get things done. We'll always find a way to get it done, and I think that's our key aspect. We don't really push for like high profits on like a job that we could do. We'd rather get the longevity and work with people long term. So I think that the key to that is you're trying to get the best out of what you do every day. So our standards, I think if you were to ask one of the people that we work with, they'd say transparency, because we're always open and we speak to people, and the quality of workmanship. We know that we are second to none when we're doing this work.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say is your best project that you're most proud of?
Probably not what you'd think, to be honest with you. I can remember my best project, and I was about 22 years old, and it was when I first left my family company, and the first project I ever did on my own, and it was I was actually subcontracting for a company called British Gypsum. And what we did, we fixed a roof there. Now, I think they'd had about 5 different quotes, and our quote was by far the lowest. I think we were £8,000 cheaper than the nearest quote. And they says, "You've got the job." And then the panic that hit me, and I can see it was my first job, that I thought, have I quoted this right? Is it going to be right? And we went and did it, and it went faultlessly. We were getting filmed while we were doing it by a health and safety company for British Gypsum. We did it. We did it in record time. I think it was 4 days. We earned a good few quid out of it, and that was sort of that's the one I'm most proud of, because that was me stepping over the ledge, and first starting out on my own, and that actually led to like a 3 or 4 year contract with that project. So really good.
Why they were filming you?
They were it was just coincidence, really. It was their company, health and safety, were on site at the time, so they were looking around the building to see things that were getting done, and they actually filmed us doing this work. So
that's interesting. Yeah, very stressful if someone's watching, your every move, every step. Yeah. So what were you doing before you started Leodis Construction Services?
So before Leodis Construction, at the beginning or just before Leodis?
Just go from the beginning, yeah. Because you mentioned that the first project was the loft conversion.
Yeah. So when I first left, well, look, first of all, I come from a family of builders. So my granddad was a builder. My dad was a builder. They both had their own businesses. So and health and safety wasn't like it is today. So it wasn't unknown for me to be climbing up ladders and going on roofs at 12, 13 years old with them, and working weekends and after school. So I was sort of destined to go into the building industry. I actually didn't go into the building industry though. When I left school, I went into printing for, God, maybe a year, and I absolutely hated it. And it turned out one day where my dad were working on the building where I were working inside printing, and I could see them all having a laugh. I knew them all. And I just went out to my dad on my break. I said, look, Dad, I can't do this anymore. Can I come and work with you? And he says, right. He says, you can come, but you have to start at bottom and you have to labour on everybody. And that's the way it's going to be for you. I'm not your dad when you're at work. Mm-hmm. So I went back into building. I said, look, I'm jacking. Got my bag, got my stuff, went up ladder, went on roof straight away. From that, I reckon it took about 4 years, and then I was sort of project managing my dad's projects. And my dad was a commercial builder, so he had like British Gypsum, Federal Mogul. Who else did he have? He had tons planned. He had tons of multi-projects where I was just going around making sure lads had what they need. I would say I was project managing, but to be a project manager, I think you're a glorified labourer, because you've got to think for everyone and get everyone the material they need, to move on. So yeah, I did that, and then when I was 22, that's when I left and I went on my own.
Mm-hmm. And what? Okay, so yeah, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, so that was when I went on my own. Then, so I had Lynch Construction. That was domestic building, bit of commercial. As I said, we took over the British Gypsum contract. My dad sort of gifted that to me as a startup, and from there, yeah, we had lads coming in and out. I learned a lot of hard lessons, obviously, because when you do go on your own, you haven't got a safety net, and finances. You've got to, run cost sheets and project manage it. Not just project manage the guys, but make sure they're getting paid on a weekend. Make sure the materials are flowing. And I'd say like 22, I was probably taking on jobs. Some of the jobs were, 50, 100K jobs. So it's always been in me to strive on and get jobs. Mm-hmm. And I think the novelty I had is because my family are all builders, and because my dad had done commercial contracts. When you're on commercial, it's generally bigger scale jobs. So
yeah,
which can probably intimidate a lot of builders, but it because that was sort of our bread and butter. We were never intimidated by that. So the bigger numbers never scared us. It's my dad always says to me, it's the same recipe and ingredients. You're just making a bigger cake, and it sort of stuck when we did that. So I've never been intimidated by the bigger jobs. I think you just like we say, you have to do your due diligence and you have to time for things. If it's domestic or commercial, sometimes you can do a commercial job where your lads aren't going to get started while 11 o'clock on the morning, because they've got to get there, get inducted, get set up, sign in. There's a lot of stipulations on these sites, so you've got to sort of price that in and factor it into your costs when you're pricing that job up initially. Again, I've learned that the hard way with a few jobs, because they were taking twice as long to do. So I had to sort of foot the bill of that, but it's trial and error, and it's part of growing. And
the health and safety is also more strict on commercial sites.
Health and safety is just in the time I've been around, it is absolutely crazy. I can see why. I don't oppose to it, but yeah, it's changed a lot from what it used to be. Mm-hmm. And you've got to factor them costs in as well. Edge protection, fall arrest systems, and things like that. Things like that you did miss in the early days.
Mm-hmm. So what problems you are looking to solve in the building or housing industry?
For me, I think builders have got a shocking name. Some of them deserve that name. There is a lot of rogue traders out there. But my aim with people is to show that we're not all like that. We can work together. I think there's a lot. I think educating people is my main thing. I mean, I meet customers who'll say, "Oh, I've give this builder £7,000. He's been to job once and then he's not come back, and I can't get hold of him." And I think, well, where did you find this guy? And it'll be Billy from down in pub. And you know what? what do they actually expect? You know, so I sort of try and guide people into looking into the right places to find the right contractors.
Mhm. What would you say were the biggest source of frustrations working in the industry?
The client, I think, yeah, I think that the biggest frustration, the client, not in some cases, what you'll find is you'll get some clients who totally lean on you, they totally depend on you. And it's your role to educate them on the best way of doing something.
Mhm.
It's like if I want my car fixing, I don't walk up behind the mechanic when he's fixing it and tell him how to do his job because I don't have a clue of it. And I think that's the problem is people will buy a plot of land, they'll want to build an house on it. It'll be a lucrative deal and they'll micromanage it to a point where they've cost themselves a fortune and they've upset people on site, you know, and it's just like, just leave us to do as work, you know, and see what
Mhm.
comes of it.
Mhm. Yeah, I can agree. I actually spent years of 17 years in construction.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can relate that
Well,
client
you
can
know
be,
what I mean,
yeah, the
yeah.
client is the, like you said, you have to educate them sometimes, you know.
Yeah. And
On,
you'll know
on,
exactly the same way in your industry. It's like I can look at a project and I can as I'm walking around, I can cost it, and I'm thereabouts. You know, I'd have to do a full costing sheet, but
Mhm.
I'm thereabouts, and I can tell people that costs sometimes, and they'll say, "Oh no, that it won't cost that. There's no chance of it costing that." And in my youth, I was a bit naive, and I think, "Well, I'll do it. You know, I'll try and please them." Now I don't try and please anybody. I know what I say to them is, I don't care what this person's quoted you. This will be a final figure that you pay. You know, choose who you use to do it. You know, that you've got to sort of educate them in that respect because you know building materials are going up through roof at the moment. You know, you can't get timber for love nor money. I think it's gone up 25% with another forecast of
Mhm.
15% go up. The Americans are buying it all at the minute from Scandinavia, so you can't get that. Cement, they're saying that we're going to struggle with cement. Across the board, materials have gone up 10%. So, you know, you've got to factor all these costs in.
Did you come across a project where you had to tell the, the client that it's not gonna work for you because it's not gonna make any money?
Yeah. I, I've come across projects of people where I've advised them, although it's sort of talking myself out of work, I've advised them to sell it now before
Mhm.
they build on it. I.e., they've bought a plot of land, they've managed to get planning, but I know that the GDV will not make much money. So, but it might make money, but it will make the same money if they sold it as plots of land. So I totally cut myself out of the equation. But yeah, I would rather give that advice than face that hurdle later on. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's another thing with age. I walk away from a lot of projects now that I wouldn't have walked away from in my youth because I can see they're going to be problematic. You're not some people you can meet and you can know that you're not going to make them happy. You know, you can know that you're never going to hit. You'll know, Mark. You'll have the same with what you're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah,
You know, you sort of gauge people, don't you? Who you can work with and who you can't. I think as you get older, and it's tough. But yeah, I'd rather walk away and work with people I can work with than struggle with someone that I can't.
yeah. Obviously, because you want to enjoy what you're doing as well and
Yeah,
be proud
yeah,
of it.
yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
You know, it's great to get a job, but if that person's constantly grinding you down and trying to make you save money, it can be an exciting project and you can be all over it and you can see that the end could be brilliant, but because that person's doing that day in day out, it makes it a problematic job and a job that you lose love for, and I don't ever want
Mhm.
to get to that stage again. You know, I like to keep the lads happy on site. They're all
Yeah.
good working lads, and just keep that positive vibe going. But it's hard when you've got that sort of client that just wants to drive costs down.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. So do you remember how you found my services? How you found me?
LinkedIn, just I used to watch. Well, you know, I used to compliment your videos all the time when they
Mhm.
went on. I thought they were fantastic. So as soon as I got the opportunity to work with you, jumped at it really, and yeah, brilliant. I think you actually sold 2 properties off of your CGI.
All right. Off plan, yeah.
Off plan, yeah.
Yeah. So what's the result of, yeah, so you just said that that was the result directly of working with us, that they managed to
Yeah,
sell the properties.
yeah. The estate agents that saw them, they were blown away. They couldn't believe it. So they put them on their website, and people were ringing up for viewings and coming down to the site and saying, no, they're not the actual houses. That's, it's computerized what you've seen.
Well, yeah, but still you've got lots of off-plan sales. So if they want to secure the house, that's more or less that's how it's gonna look like. So
Yeah.
yeah.
There were one person who says that they wanted, because you did a couple of pictures as well, and you did one where you could see out into the landscape, and they wanted the kitchen as you drew it, because you drew that off of an actual Howden's kitchen, didn't you? So that were ideal, but they actually said, could we have the garden like it is in that CGI? So
yeah,
you did well with that one, mate.
So what areas of that projects have improved by getting the 3D visualization, and can you quantify how much?
I think, well, obviously, when you're doing a project like that, you might have funders involved, that have got money in the deal. So the quicker that you can sell the properties and get rid of the funders, and get the development back in your own hands, the better. And I think that what you did, it allowed people who aren't in our industry. It's easy for us to say because we can look at some architect drawings and we know what it's going to look like, but it's like even when you do a renovation for someone and you're knocking one wall out, they can't envisage how it's going to look once it's done. But when I think the thing with CGI and the videos that you do, you can't not see it. It had every bit of detail on it. It had the windows, the doors, everything were identical to the drawings. So that give them that freedom to see it and put a deposit down on it, basically. Yeah.
So what could have happened if you didn't manage to get visuals in a professional way?
What would have happened? Oh, you might not have got the sales beforehand. I think I'll tell you what, like even the tradesmen liked the drawings because you drew the full site on that particular project. So there were like, you probably don't even realize you did it, but there were like wall details in the gardens and like how the boundaries were set. And obviously we've all got working drawings, but the builders watching videos and going, oh, right, so that's how that'll look when it's done. Now I know what I'm doing with that. So it was helpful throughout, even for guys in industry.
All right, so they actually checked it during the work for the
when they
detail,
watched it. I remember there were a particular area down in bottom corner, and we didn't know how it were gonna. Well, the brickie that was setting it out couldn't quite get his head around it from drawings because there were multiple drawings on this particular patch, and then he watched video and he went, "All right, I see. Yeah, that's how it goes. I can take it from there now." And that was it. Built it.
Yeah, it's probably easier as well if someone it's not used to read architectural drawings, especially like on a slope hill, so more complex area. So I can see how they can be useful.
Yeah.
So do you like what we did on this projects? What we offer?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. There'd be absolutely no doubt. The only thing I'd do differently if we did it again, I'd get you in sooner.
All right.
I think we left it. I think we left it too late. We had 2 plots. So they were out of ground, and we were on our way with them. But for me, if I were to buy a site like that again, or joint venture on a site like that again, I'd be looking at getting you in on the first set of drawings. Just to get them up there.
So you think it would sell more, getting there earlier, or would it be easier to build, or solve the problems?
I think it'd be the sales for the sales reasons, and I think I know it'd sell more. It'd sell them faster. That's what it'd do. Which would then and then like you say, if you're in a JV and the customer, the clients, he's got some money in his pocket, hasn't he? He's got some structure behind what he's building, and he can enjoy his project a little bit more, because things do get tight on development sites, even for the big developers. Do you know, the unforeseen is crazy. You know, you got people. What people don't factor in is like highways. You have to pay a fee to highways, and basically they tell you what you've got to pay them. Then if you've got to change the roads, it's a fee for that. You know, your structural engineers, your architects, they don't come cheap for things like that, and so they shouldn't. They do a great job. You know, the problem with that particular project that you drew was there were so many changes, because remember, I was the second project manager on that job. So the first one had his way of working, and then obviously I come along, tried to cut costs. Now it were in timber, it were a timber frame initially. A company called Frame Tech. They are a great company, and I do love timber frame houses. But you remember we were working, I don't know if you remember, that we went into first lockdown. So
Yeah.
the timber, they went into lockdown, did Frame Tech. So we couldn't get them on the time we wanted. We couldn't get cranes. So what we decided, well, we had to get the drawings it was cheap, it was more cost efficient then to get the drawings redone, to build it in masonry, and then bulk buy blocks and bricks, so just so the lads could keep trucking on. We were quite lucky at the time, because Lynch Construction were a concrete company as well, so it had a concrete plant. So we could keep in-house, we could keep the project going. You know, we had, as you know, that particular job, it had 300 cube of concrete in the first 4 houses, which is a significant amount of concrete. You know, upstairs walls, shuttering systems. It was a really unique site, but I think that comes for a unique build at the end of it. So this is where I might be wrong saying that they didn't. I wouldn't have bought that land personally. They did, and I don't think they're going to lose out by it. It's going to be a lucrative project, because it builds unique houses. Maybe my construction brain tells me that I'd rather build easy. You know, get a nice flat piece of land, strip foundations, timber frame, and off we go. But yeah, they do. Like if you go out to like Home Firth and places like that, land's cheap there, but you could be buying a bit of land on a cliff edge. You know, I've seen it like a 6-story house that's gone up there on a just a real steep hill, and when you're at the top of it, it looks like a garage, but then it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing, because you go out the back of it and it's like 6 stories. It's a real piece of work.
So if you would have opportunities to start over on that project, what would you change to maximize the profit?
Well, I think, you know, without blowing my own trumpet, me being on it from the start would have maximised profit, because I think, don't forget the client were a friend, so he had someone else, and the man's an absolute genius, but he wasn't in the right hands for that project, in my opinion, at that time. So costs spiraled, architects, structural engineers, there were a lack of communication, there were a lack of project management. You know, there were a project manager that was taking a fee, but I don't think he was project managing the job. What a job like that needs, it needs a full schedule of works, you know, right from the offset. So when we do a project like that, we'll do a program of works, and we'll have Gantt charts where it'll show you where every man is from the start of it to the end. Now, it'll never run like that, but it's a live program where you can send reports, you can have meetings. Your project manager updates it daily. You know, right, scaffold ain't gone up today, so we'll set that back. That'll kick them back. Can we change roofers around? So yeah, it really works, and that saves a lot of money on a job. Do you know? And that's something that I've learned with age. Do you know? Because I would have disagreed just a few years ago. But when you see one of those live charts working, and you don't forget, when you're doing a job like that, you could have, that particular one had 30, 40 men on it. So you've got to place them men every day. You know, your project manager has to place them men every day. And if somebody at the beginning doesn't turn up, it has a knock-on effect throughout everyone else. So the programmer works, and we all worked on Microsoft Teams. It was great because there were constant communication.
Do you do the program schedule on the Excel spreadsheet, or you use some software?
Microsoft Teams. We use Microsoft Project Manager.
So it allows you to do the Gantt chart for the scope of works.
If you're setting up the programmer works, it's doing a timeline as you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're putting dates in, so it's doing the Gantt chart as you go.
Yeah, because I actually worked in the construction industry with construction programs, so it was week by week. You know what, who is where. Like you said, you've got 30, 40 people on site, so you don't want them idle, you know, or not knowing what they're doing next.
Yeah. And so it goes into like ordering materials, because you know what materials you need to order. And like I say, that knock-on effect, you could end up ordering materials you're not going to need that week, so it sends your cash flow out. So yeah, it's really clever, really clever.
Yeah, that's actually thinking like a big company rather than you know.
But you know, you could we even take that now into our, if we're doing a loft conversion, a renovation, a larger extension, we run it like it's a corporate company, because I think your customer, no matter if you're doing an extension for someone, that's a lot of money for that person. You know, you have to respect that they're spending probably all the savings that they have to do that, for one. And number two, you're working in their house, in their home, so you have to be respectful. So the programmer works, we've found the customers love it, because we'll go see them on a Friday. We'll just run it up on iPad. Well, they'll see exactly what we've got done, where we're at. It's good for costs, because you can put your schedule of costs in there, so they know when they're paying, how much they're paying, and they also know when the builders are going to be inside the house, when they're going to be outside the house, so you can manage around that. And we've found that the value in that is unreal. Customers really do like that.
Good for neighbors as well, because they know when the noise is going to stop. So
yeah, we usually find flowers and chocolates work well for neighbors as well.
All right, that's nice. So would you recommend others to work with me? And
with you? Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I couldn't, as I say, being from the industry, I think I appreciate what you did. Like I think a builder would appreciate what you do a little bit more, because they understand it a lot more. So I would always anything to do with building, I love anyway. So, but your work, I always found, really good. Really, how you can see, that the full development when it's done. You can see, because like you say, you could do like a gold, silver, or bronze package on a build, and you could draw that up. So they can see what that bathroom actually will look like when it's done, what that kitchen will actually look like, even if it's down to like Carndean flooring. You literally draw every single detail, and more. I would say there were more information than I expected in it.
All right. So what's coming next in your business now?
So we're working, as I say, we only started Leodis construction November time. So I says to my wife, obviously my wife works with me, and we've got a business partner, Nick. I says to him, look, we're going back to the basics now, because we grew so fast. We had the concrete plant. We had volumetric trucks out all day long pouring concrete. We had the building side, the development side. I think as weekly overheads were about 80k a week or something like that, and it was giving me palpitations. So I says, look, we're going back to basics. So we sold Lynch, went back to his roots, and we've started working for domestic customers again. Where we do his own property, so we buy properties ourselves, flip them, or whatever we see fit. We joint venture with people. But what I said, well, we're going to have a quiet year. Let's chill out and take things steady. That lasted for about a month, and now the workbook's full for the rest of this year. So we're going through a growth spurt again. I didn't really want to, but it's happening natural. So I'm not going to fight what happens naturally. So, but what I do believe is you have to work in levels. You can't just go from 0 to 100. So just gradual levels. We've got set out how we want to grow now, nice and steady away. But yeah, everything's positive. As I say, we're naturally booked for the rest of the year, so it's a matter of multi-projecting now and letting the team grow naturally to take on them other customers.
Yeah. What would be a number one piece of advice for developers who are trying to improve their business or are just starting?
Just start. Yeah, speak to a builder. Get involved with a builder that you can work with right from the offset. Because even if you have to pay that builder to go, you know, if you say how much is it for a day to come with me, pick out like 3 or 4 sites. Let's go have a look at them and take it from there. I think the problem is everybody thinks, and it is a problem because everybody thinks there's loads of money to be made in property. There is, but there's not as much as there used to be, and you have to find that unique site, you know, that unique build. I look for land day in, day out, and I've been looking for a patch of land for over a year now, and I can't find one. Maybe it's because I'm a builder. Land, I think everything's so highly priced at the minute. Houses are so highly priced. Land is priced more than if you were to buy a derelict building on land. It's cheaper than buying, you know, that particular piece of land, and it's even selling now without planning for what it sold for with planning just a few years ago. Just be careful. That would be the key advice that I'd give, because you can lose. You can finish yourself if you're not careful. You know, if you don't go into it right.
Yeah. And so would you say it's cheaper to actually buy the derelict house and demolish it and build new one? Or...
Me personally, yeah, that's what I'd look to do. Yeah, work on that footprint. Chances are, if it's a derelict building, it's been habitable at some point, so it'd be easier to get planning on it. You can get planning on Greenbelt, can't you? Now I know an architect that's doing it now. I forget what it's called, a Section 79 or something like that. So it's got to be a house that's built, you know, with some sort of excellence to it. So it's either energy efficient or it's in keeping with its surroundings. So you see them sometimes, you know, like they might have like a turfed roof, and they might be shaped like the hillside as they come through.
What about commercial conversions? Do you recommend, or are you thinking about those as well, converting to residential?
Me personally, no. I'd do it as a project for a client. But me personally, no. Only reason why is the cost to it. You know, there's a massive cost to it. But I'd JV with someone on it. Yeah, there's a few guys that sort of niche off of doing things like that. Priestley Group, they seem to be mastering it. I'd say they sort of dominate the construction industry around our area, and to a very high standard as well.
So where can people find out more about you and Leodis Construction online?
Just his website, Leodis Construction. We're on Checker Trade, so you can find us on there. Social media, that's something that we're trying at the moment. So obviously I'm on LinkedIn, and then we've got Insta account. We've just opened a Facebook account last night, actually. That's something I've always been against, but I just thought I'd give it a go. Everybody else seems to be doing it.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to try.
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you, Andy, for a lovely interview, and goodbye, everyone.
No problem. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks.